We're going to do a wrap-up session. We'll keep it very compact. I really thank all of you for hanging in there, and I know everybody has some feelings, and we've had some people talk through their questions. But you can always email us, email me. And I can relay it to Jim, or or I can give you the information. You can just email me at mayers, MAYERS, @wispolitics.com, and we'll get it to the right person if you have something that you want to reflect in a written way. So we're going to just try to wrap this up, like I said, in a very compact fashion. What are our takeaways here? I'm going to say right off the bat, I am struck very positively by your healthy introspection. That is the hardest thing to do, is to take a look at your community and say, wow, we're missing something, or we have to do this. I don't hear that a lot. The state often does not engage in that very well itself. The state's been trying to brand itself in different ways over, decades, and sometimes successfully, sometimes not. So, but this is healthy. So congratulations on that. You're still searching maybe for some things, but I see good things happening. So anyway, what do you think?
Just from a Synergy perspective, as the whole region, there are lots of things that we're currently working on that everyone has been talking about, which is fantastic. But the big thing that I took out of today, and I'll just take one because I know everyone here is going to cover some other one, but regulation, right? If it's hard to do business, it's hard to live here, it's hard to pay for things, people aren't going to come here. So I think a big takeaway is, what are the next action steps that we're working with our municipality and economic leaders on regulation to make it easier to be here and to do business here? So I would say that's one of my first takeaways on how we can help do that process.
So what did you learn about branding? Would you change your brand?
Most people aren't fully aware of it yet, but Synergy is working on a regional brand for all the 5 counties in central Wisconsin called Central to Success. Stay tuned. In the next 4 months, we'll have a full marketing campaign that our investors will utilize, that we will be looking at recruitment and attraction of talent specifically to the central Wisconsin region. So
that was a good tease.
He wasn't prepped either.
That was not a planted question.
No, it was not.
So we stumbled upon a great tease. All right, David. Are you feeling better about things or worse about things after our conversation today?
It's all relative.
It's all relative. All right.
No, I feel very positive, and this is an important discussion, one that we've been involved with for several months here in part of this Accelerator series. Rural Resurgence is near and dear a passion of mine, having worked up and down the river of central Wisconsin, knowing that we do have to be bold. We absolutely have to be bold, to Jim's point, that to be very positive, forward-looking, as John Roberts indicated, to action-oriented. And it goes down to a phrase that I use. It's that networked localism, community by community. We can build a strong competitive region in central Wisconsin. It's going to take all of us. But the rural communities, as you outlined early on, that predominance of Wisconsin, rural communities, and now those who are participating and watching, you do have the capacity to shape a different future for your community by getting everybody involved. It works. But we have to do it community by community, and I'm having lunch with Angel today, and we're going to start doing some dot connecting here, some of the things that we're working on. The talent ecosystem. Every community needs to be developing what that ecosystem looks like, who your participants are, where your workforce development board is, where your education, where your business and industry, where your DPI is, where your K-12s are, in developing that talent pathway. We all have that capacity. Every one of you has a partner in your community to do it. So we need to go and do it. And it's action. Identify your partners, get the data, work together, coalesce, and move forward.
Mark, what's your big takeaway here?
A couple things. One, there are no easy answers. And two, there is not one answer. But what I heard today is sort of the makings of a recipe. So to engage, I mentioned it earlier, I mean, two of the smartest people you'll ever meet in your life, Dennis Winters from Department of Workforce Development, Dale Knapp from Forward Analytics, to get them to tell us what we're going to look like in 20, 30, 40 years. And again, if we like it, do exactly what we're doing. If not, then let's get together leaders in the community, academia, government, business, to decide what it is we want to be in 10, 20, 30 years. And then further, let us identify the obstacles that are in the way from where we are now to what we want to be. And then when we identify those obstacles, develop strategies to maneuver, mitigate, or remove them. And then from those strategies, in each strategy, develop tactics to implement that strategy to remove the obstacle to get us to where we want to be. That's what I heard. The makings of a recipe on my whiteboard. John.
All right. So, I would say this about the Counties Association is aggressive, and its members are everywhere in the state and influence a lot. And, in some of these counties, the big city's right in the middle. And the county is really the regional partner. So I would say to anybody who isn't sure what to do, work with the Counties Association. They have great breadth and power in the state. Okay, Jim Wood, what's your takeaway?
First of all, thanks everybody who's here today, who's online with us. Big thanks to Dave and Angel to helping us put all this together, and to Kurt and others that served on the panels. This is the 7th of the 9 action accelerators we're doing. I listened today, and I've listened to these other sessions. You know what I hear in the voices? Frustration. Frustration comes from knowing that something has to be done, having some sense that something can be done, and that it's not being done. That frustration is an opportunity for us. So I'll do my takeaways. First of all, like everybody else, you need a plan, okay? There's no question about that. The second thing I would say other people have said is you got to start paying attention to the data, okay? We live in a world where people write interesting articles and opine about things. There are, in fact, numbers. We do know what the millennials are looking for, those who are buying houses. We do know what they're looking for, and we know where the break points are. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be updating the data, but the data does, in fact, matter. What we don't have is local data. We have all sorts of national data. We have all sorts of state data. We need more precise local data that tells us what Wausau needs so that we can understand how to value it and how to measure it and all the rest of that. The third piece is this question of expediting change. And to Jim's point, you need that. It's implementation, folks. And so it is a matter, you got to say, do we have critical mass in terms of the leadership of this thing? How are we going to benchmark it? How are we going to measure it? What does the data and the best practices tell us? How do we educate decision makers so that they can become part of the team and understand where their own vested self-interest is, where the community's self-interest is? You have to inform the public about where we are in this point in time. To somebody else's point, you don't have time to wait for everybody, okay? So if a community says to you, we don't want those people, we don't want those jobs, pack up and move on, folks. You can come back and catch them up later. And then the last piece is you got to begin to understand how to scale up, which means we need more research, we need more alignment, and we've got to get more engagement with the concept of transition management. This is a 3 to 7 year process. Everybody's going to eventually move off forward on broadband. It won't be in the ground, it won't be moving, it will hit different places at different times. Ultimately, however, if everybody would do two things. One, keep paying attention to these issues. Talk to your friends, your neighbors, okay? And come back around the question of who does what, okay? Because it really isn't about, we need fewer meetings and we need more getting it done stuff. So that's kind of, those are my takeaways.
This has been a wonderful session. I mean, congratulations to all the panelists. You stuck through it, and you provided some really great insight. So, and the audience.